Last spring, a 64-year-old man, I'll call Ron, stepped on the metal tab from a soda can in his own kitchen. He didn't feel a thing. He found it that night, peeling off his sock when he saw the dried blood. The cut had been open all day, and he never knew it was there. Ron's feet had been slowly going quiet for 2 years, and not one appointment had ever checked them. By the time we did, the nerves in both of his feet had been damaged by something he didn't know he was living with. Your feet are usually the very first place this shows up, and the cruelest part is how silent it is. Today, I'm going to show you the 9 signs that could be hiding on your own feet right now. 3 tests you can do in the next 5 minutes, and the single thread that ties every one of them together. Before we go further, let me describe a few things, and you tell me if any of them sound like you. You peel off your shoes at the end of a long day, and your feet feel a little far away, almost like they belong to someone else. Maybe you found a healed-over cut or a bruise on a foot and had no memory at all of how it got there. Maybe there's a burning or a tingling at night that you've quietly blamed on new shoes, or a long day on your feet, or just getting older. Or you've caught yourself glancing down at your feet on the stairs now when there was a time you never gave them a single thought. If you just nodded at even one of those, I am really glad you found this video. Most people file these little things away under getting older and never mention them to anyone. Your feet are trying to tell you something, and in the next few minutes, you are going to know exactly what they're saying. What almost no one explains is this. The condition behind Ron's story is diabetes, and very often the feet sound the alarm before anyone orders a blood test. More than 1 in 3 adults in this country is walking around with blood sugar high enough to start doing damage, and most of them have no idea because the early damage does not hurt. It whispers. That whisper has a name, peripheral neuropathy, and we will get to exactly what it means in a moment. And here is the hopeful part, the reason this video exists. The feet are the place the damage shows up first, and they are also the easiest place in your whole body to catch it early because you can see them, touch them, and test them yourself for free on any evening you choose. Most of the damage that ends badly was visible and testable for years before anyone thought to act on it. In 20 years of seeing this, I can tell you the people who keep their feet healthy almost always caught the problem early by looking and testing instead of waiting for something dramatic enough to frighten them. So that is the plan. First, the mechanism so every sign makes sense. Then the 3 tests you run on yourself. Then the visible signs to watch for in daily life. And finally, the red line, the point where this stops being a home matter and becomes a same-day trip to a doctor. Let's start with why it's the feet. Almost every time. Diabetes means too much sugar riding in the blood for too long, and that sugar does 2 separate kinds of quiet harm. The first is to your nerves. The longest nerves in your body run from your spine all the way down to your toes, and those longest nerves are the first to fail, which is why numbness almost always starts at the tips of the toes and creeps up the foot over years. That nerve damage is the peripheral neuropathy I mentioned. Peripheral meaning the outskirts of the body, neuropathy meaning sick or damaged nerves. The second kind of harm is to your plumbing. The same high sugar stiffens and narrows the smallest blood vessels, the ones that feed the skin and feed those very nerves. Less blood means less oxygen, and less oxygen means a small cut on the foot heals slowly, if it heals at all. There is a third, sneakier piece on top of those 2. The tiny nerves that tell your skin when to sweat and make its natural oils get damaged as well. So the skin on the feet turns dry and starts to crack, and every crack is an open door for infection. And there is one more reason the feet are where this turns dangerous. High blood sugar also blunts the immune system. The white blood cells that are supposed to rush to a wound and kill bacteria move slower and work poorly when sugar is high. And the bacteria themselves grow faster in a sugary body. So a small break in the skin that you would normally heal in a day or 2 can instead become a deep infection in a week. Put all of that together and you get the picture I have seen over and over. A foot that cannot feel, cannot heal, cannot fight infection, and cannot protect itself attached to a person who feels completely fine. That combination is the whole reason something this serious can hide for years. Now, the first test, and you can do it sitting exactly where you are, slip off 1 shoe and 1 sock. Close your eyes. With your other hand, take a fingertip or the blunt eraser end of a pencil and press it lightly against the bottom of your big toe, then the ball of your foot, then the heel. Just light pressure, the kind you would barely notice on the palm of your hand. Can you feel each spot clearly and right away? Now do the other foot and compare the two. In a healthy foot, that light touch is obvious everywhere you press. If a spot feels faint or far away, or if one foot is clearly duller than the other, the protective sensation that keeps you safe is fading. And don't be surprised if this is harder than you expected it to be. A lot of people are quietly shaken the first time they sit there and realize one foot just does not feel the way the other one does. If that's you right now, take a breath. You found it, and finding it is the whole point. This is the home version of a test we do in the clinic with a thin nylon fiber called a 10-gram monofilament. A little strand calibrated to bend at exactly the pressure a healthy foot should be able to feel. When a person cannot feel that strand pressed into the sole, we know they have lost protective sensation. And that is the exact kind of foot that steps on attack and never flinches. You just ran the kitchen table version of it. If you did not pass, that is not a reason to panic. It is a reason to get your blood sugar checked this week. The second test sharpens the first. Grab 2 toothpicks or straighten 2 ends of a paper clip. Eyes closed again. Touch the top of your foot, sometimes with a single point, sometimes with both points held about a finger width apart. In no order the foot can predict. Each time, make yourself answer out loud, 1 or 2. A healthy foot tells them apart almost every single time. As the small nerve endings thin out, 2 points slowly start to blur into 1. If you are regularly calling 2 points as 1, the nerve density in that foot has dropped. Quick thing while you've still got that sock off. If this is useful to you, tell me your age down in the comments. It genuinely steers which topics I cover next, and a quick like helps the channel reach more people who need to check their feet tonight. So between these first 2 tests, you are measuring the single most important thing about a diabetic foot, whether it can still feel. Pain you would notice on your own. This loss of feeling is silent, and that silence is exactly why testing beats waiting for a symptom. The third test is just your eyes and the back of your hand, and it is where several of the 9 signs live at once. Get into good light and prop both feet up where you can see them well. Look first at the skin. Healthy foot skin has fine hairs on the toes and a normal, slightly matte texture. When circulation drops, those hairs disappear, and the skin over the shin and the top of the foot turns smooth, tight, and shiny, almost polished looking. That shine is a real sign worth taking seriously. Next, look at color, comparing one foot against the other. A toe or a whole foot that is paler than its partner, or dusky red or faintly blue, is telling you that blood is not arriving the way it should. Now temperature. Run the back of your hand from your calf down to your toes. Then compare your left side to your right. A foot that is clearly colder than the leg above it, or one foot noticeably colder than the other, points to poor blood flow. And finally, the one that genuinely saves toes. Inspect the soles and the spaces between every toe for any cut, blister, or crack that you do not remember getting. On a numb foot, a wound leaves no memory because it left no pain. Finding one is exactly why you looked. That covers the tests. Now, let me name the signs that turn up in ordinary daily life. As I go through these, be honest with yourself about which ones you have already noticed and quietly explained away, because that honesty is what protects you. 1. Tingling, pins and needles, or a burning feeling in the feet, often at its worst at night when you are lying still and finally trying to sleep. That burning is damaged nerves firing on their own. If you have ever lain in bed and rubbed your feet together or hung them out from under the blanket to cool them down just to make that feeling settle, that is exactly the sign I'm talking about. 2. A cramping or aching tiredness in the calves or feet after walking only a short distance that eases as soon as you stop and rest, which can mean the arteries feeding the legs have narrowed. 3. Cuts, blisters, or sores that take weeks to heal or keep coming back because the blood that carries repair simply is not reaching them. 4. Swelling in one or both feet that does not settle overnight. 5. Calluses building up in a brand new spot or a toe that has begun to curl or change shape because a numb foot loads itself unevenly when you walk and the pressure lands where it shouldn't. 6. Athlete's foot or a fungal rash between the toes that keeps coming back no matter what you put on it because high sugar and weak circulation make the skin an easy place for fungus to live and a hard place to heal. 7. Toenails that have turned thick, yellow, or crumbly. Another fungal sign that tends to travel with poor blood flow. 8. A new unsteadiness on your feet or catching a toe on steps and curbs. Because when the nerves that sense where your foot is in space go quiet, your balance quietly goes with them, and that becomes its own risk of a fall. Any one of these on its own proves nothing, but if you are collecting 2 or 3 of them together alongside a test you did not pass, your feet are the messenger here. And the message is to go and check what your blood sugar has been doing. Let me finish Ron's story because how it ended is the whole point. When Ron came in about that cut, his blood sugar came back high enough that he had clearly been diabetic for years without knowing. The wound on his sole had already gone deep and started to turn into an infection the way they do on a foot that cannot feel and cannot heal. We caught it in time and he kept the foot, but it took weeks of careful wound care and a few hard conversations to get there. And he was honestly one bad week away from losing toes. This is the part I want you to sit with. Ron is not unusual. Diabetes is the leading reason people in this country lose a foot or a leg to amputation. And almost every one of those stories begins the same quiet way his did. A small wound on a numb foot that nobody felt and nobody saw until it was deep. The hardest part for me is how preventable it is with nothing fancier than the looking and the testing you just learned to do. Now, let me give you the other side of that because I don't want to leave you only with the frightening version. A patient I'll call Diane, 61, watched a video a lot like this one and ran the touch test on herself at her own kitchen table. Her right foot felt a little duller than her left. Nothing dramatic, nothing that hurt. She'd booked a blood sugar test that week, found out she was an early diabetic, and started turning her numbers around before a single wound ever happened. 2 years on, her feet are healthy, and her blood sugar is back in a safe range. Ron had a completely different ending, and the one thing that separated them is that she looked early. That is the whole reason I make these. So here is the single thread that runs through all 9 of those signs, the one thing I most want you to carry out of this video. In a healthy body, pain is protection. You step on something sharp, it hurts. You stop, you look, and you fix it. The first thing diabetes takes from a foot is that protection. It quietly removes the pain that would have made you act. So the damage piles up in silence while you go on feeling perfectly fine. That is why in a diabetic foot, the absence of pain is the dangerous sign. And it is why the people who do best are the ones who replace that lost alarm with a simple habit. They look and they test on a set schedule instead of waiting to feel something go wrong. Your eyes and your hands become the warning system your nerves can no longer be. And that warning system works. The single most useful thing we do for feet in the clinic is not high-tech at all. It is the same touch test you just ran done regularly. You can do it at home for free as often as you like, years before most people ever get formally checked. The feet give you a long runway of warning if you are willing to look down and use it. Ron's body was sending that signal for 2 years and nobody was reading it. You are going to read yours. And let me say the quiet part out loud because I think it is what this is really about. This was never only a number on a lab report. Your feet are how you stay in your own home. They are how you get out to the mailbox, how you keep up in the garden in the spring, how you carry a grandchild across the room without thinking twice about it. We guard them this carefully because of everything they let you keep doing and everyone you get to keep doing it for. Catching this early tonight at your kitchen table is how you stay the person who does things for the people you love for as many years as possible. So, what do you actually do tonight? 5 steps. 1. Run the 3 tests you just learned on both feet and write down anything that felt off. That written note is your baseline to compare against later. 2. Put your feet under a bright light and really look, the tops, the soles, and between every single toe using a hand mirror or your phone's camera for the parts you can't see directly. 3. If you found a numb spot, a color or temperature difference, or any of the daily signs, book a blood sugar test this week. Ask specifically for an A1C. That is the one blood test that shows your average blood sugar over the past few months. 4. If you already know you are diabetic or pre-diabetic, turn this foot check into a weekly habit, the same evening every week, so any new wound gets found in days instead of weeks. 5. Protect the skin on your feet so it never gets the chance to crack, split, or become an open doorway for infection. Make it part of your daily routine to wash your feet gently and then dry them completely. Take a few extra seconds to dry carefully between the toes because moisture trapped there can lead to skin problems before you even notice them. After that, apply a simple, fragrance-free moisturizer to the tops, heels, and soles of your feet. Keeping the skin soft and healthy helps it stay strong. Just remember not to put moisturizer between the toes, since that area needs to stay dry. 6. Protect those feet throughout the entire day as well. If you have any numbness or reduced feeling, stop walking barefoot, even inside your own home. A healthy foot sends warning signals when something is wrong. A numb foot does not. It will not alert you to the drop pin on the floor, the sharp edge of a toy, a splinter, a stubbed toe, or a surface that is hotter than it should be. Small injuries that seem harmless can quickly become serious when they go unnoticed. Make it a habit to wear supportive footwear or protective slippers whenever you are up and moving around. And before slipping on your shoes each day, take a moment to check inside them. Run your hand through the shoe and make sure nothing has fallen in. A tiny stone, a folded sock liner, or another small object may not seem important, but if you cannot feel it rubbing against your skin, it can create a blister or sore before the day is over. This simple habit takes only a few seconds, yet it can prevent problems that may take weeks or months to heal. 7. And this is a step that addresses the root cause behind everything we've talked about. Work closely with your doctor to bring your blood sugar into a healthier range. Every warning sign mentioned in this video, the tingling, the burning, the numbness, the loss of sensation, and the slow healing injuries, can usually be traced back to blood sugar levels that have stayed too high for too long. The foot checks, touch tests, moisturizing, and protective habits are all important because they help you catch damage early and prevent small issues from becoming major ones. But controlling blood sugar is what helps slow down the damage itself. Think of it this way. The daily checks help you find problems. The protective habits help you avoid new problems. Better blood sugar control helps reduce the cause of the problem in the first place. When all three work together, you give your feet, your nerves, and your overall health the best possible chance to stay strong for years to come.